Welcome back to another installment of Everything NHL, the hockey segment of the Fantasy Fanatics Podcast. I'm your host, Nathan, and we're here with our hockey expert, James Kumar.
Hey, what's up, man?
So this week we're gonna go over Thursday and Friday's games. We'll take a look at some pickups that you guys can take a look at, and then we'll preview Saturday's games.
All right, sounds good. Let's get into it.
All right, so we'll start with Thursday's games, and we'll take a look at Nashville Predators versus the Ottawa Senators. And Nashville was able to come out on top on a road game, 3-2. So good job by Nashville. We have Matt Duchene in the first period. In the second period, Mathieu Joseph was able to get a goal for Ottawa. And the third period, Josh Norris was able to get a goal for Ottawa. And Tanner Jeannot and Ryan Johansson were able to get a goal each for Nashville. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Nashville played really solid here. It's pretty amazing how well this team has consistently been able to play. 41 wins on the year. Looks like Roman Josi as a defenseman could even get to 100 points, which we haven't seen since like the 80s, which is pretty insane. Yeah, and they look like they're going to be a playoff team. They look really solid here. And then, yeah, as for Ottawa, obviously, you know, they're a rebuilding team. They don't really have much to play for at the moment. Just sort of playing out the final stretch of their season. But yeah, good on Nashville for getting the win.
For sure. And a pretty good job by Ottawa for, I guess, being able to hang with Nashville like that.
Yeah, I mean, they kept it close. They were even ahead for a bit. So yeah, definitely pretty solid.
Sure. And speaking of pretty solid, the Montreal Canadiens were able to beat the New Jersey Devils 7-4. So really good job by the Montreal Canadiens. In the first period, we have 3 goals for Montreal by Nick Suzuki, Jake Evans, and Cole Caulfield. And Thomas Tatar was able to put a goal on the board for New Jersey. In the second period, we have a goal by H.A. Greer for New Jersey, and a goal for Montreal by Joel Armia. And in the third period, we have 3 more goals for Montreal by Chris Weidman, Christian Dvorak, and Kale Flake, with Ty Smith and Jesper Bratt getting a goal each for New Jersey. So what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, solid win for Montreal. New Jersey just continued to give up goals pretty much every single game. I believe they gave up 8 goals to Boston last week, as well as they gave up 7 to Florida. Like, I mean, like every game they're giving up like 8 or 7 goals. They're becoming the new Detroit Red Wings at this point, just giving up lots of goals. And you can't get wins that way. When you let a team below you in the standings like Montreal score that many goals on you, it's definitely a problem. Definitely needs to be addressed heading into next year. Then, yeah, as for Montreal, solid win here. Their offense finally comes to life for the first time in a while, which is nice to see. And yeah, definitely a really solid effort.
Yeah, I guess for New Jersey, it's a pretty serious hole in the game that they probably need to address. And for Montreal, hopefully things continue in this trajectory.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And then as for New Jersey, there's almost no defense being played whatsoever. And the goaltending's been so shaky all year. I believe they started 7 different goalies over the course of the year. So it's been pretty bad to see.
Yeah, and I guess a game that I guess Pittsburgh fans may not want to see. Unfortunately for them, the Rangers were able to defend their home against the Pittsburgh Penguins 3-0. So a shutout by the Rangers. Good for the Rangers, not so good for the Penguins. No goals in the first period. Frank Vetrano and Artemi Panarin for the Rangers in the second, and Dryden Hunt with the third goal for the Rangers. And what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, no Crosby this game for Pittsburgh. I think he missed the game. So yeah, really tough without him in the lineup. Rangers, they've been solid all year against Pittsburgh. So another solid win for them. Shout out for Shesterkin, who's been one of the best goalies in the league this year. For this matchup, it could be a potential first round playoff matchup. So Pittsburgh really needs to turn things around against New York. I believe they do have one more meeting this year, if I'm not mistaken. So they definitely need to win that if that's the case and sort of get things turned around, or else, yeah, the Rangers could have a lot of momentum heading into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like the Rangers have quite a bit of momentum already. So I feel like the Rangers, they could make some surprising upsets potentially.
Yeah, definitely a team that has the good enough goaltending to make some noise in the playoffs for sure. So we'll definitely have to see about that.
For sure. And moving on to the next game, we have the Flyers beating Columbus 4-1. So good job by the Flyers. We have Eric Robinson in the first period for Columbus, and in the second period, we have 3 goals by the Flyers by Kevin Connaughton, Owen Tippett, and Noah Cates. And in the third period, we have Travis Konecny with another goal for Philadelphia. And what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, Philly played really well here. I believe they got beat by Columbus earlier in the week. You see a lot of young players in this lineup, guys like Owen Tippett, Noah Cates. So, definitely really solid effort by the Flyers. As for Columbus, Eric Robinson, he's a solid young player. He gets a goal for them. But other than that, not much to really like here. They're definitely looking towards next year.
And moving on to the next game, we have a pretty dominant game by Carolina. They were able to beat Buffalo 5-3. So really good job by Carolina. In the first period, we have Tage Thompson and Alex Tuck for Buffalo. In the second period, we have Sebastian Aho and Tulo Teravainen for Carolina, with Victor Olofsson getting another goal for Buffalo. And in the third period, we have Jordan Staal with 2 goals and Sebastian Aho with another goal. All 3 goals for Carolina. And what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, great comeback by Carolina. It looks like Buffalo was up in this game. What was it, 3-1? 4 straight goals by the Hurricanes. They clinch a playoff spot. An overall great day for this Carolina team. They're definitely looking really solid heading into the playoffs. So they're probably going to be the first seed in the Metro Division. So they'll be facing a wild card team. Should be able to get out of the first round. We'll definitely see where they can go from there. And then as for Buffalo, yeah, they have been playing well as of late. I believe they did beat Carolina earlier in the week. So this was sort of like a split. And yeah, they've won 5 out of their last 10. So considering the way most of their season went, to win 50% of their games over the course of their last 10 is not too bad. So yeah, good on Buffalo in that sense.
Yeah. And speaking of another good game, we have Seattle getting a 2-goal shutout against Chicago. So that's a really good job for Seattle. No goals in the first period. Alex Wenberg in the second for Seattle, and Jordan Ebro for Seattle in the third. What are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I think that Seattle is playing better than Chicago as of right now. I definitely liked Seattle going into this game, and yeah, they definitely came out on top. Grubauer gets the shutout. Chicago, ever since the trade deadline where they sold off a lot of their players, they just haven't played well. They don't have Marc-Andre Fleury to lean on anymore. It's pretty much a tailspin for the Chicago team, probably looking to get a good draft position. And then, as for Seattle, I mean, every win they can get is great. They have played better recently. I believe they've also won 5 out of their last 10. So, slowly turning things around. Obviously, it's too late for any type of run, but definitely looking more solid as a team.
And moving on to the next game, we have I guess it was a high-scoring game overall, went all the way down to the wire. The Toronto Maple Leafs were able to beat the Dallas Stars 4-3 in overtime. So good job by the Maple Leafs. We have William Nylander in the first for the Leafs, and Tyler Seguin for Dallas in the first. In the second period, we have Austin Matthews for the Leafs. In the third period, we have John Klingberg and Joe Pavelski for the Stars, and Morgan Riley for the Leafs in the third as well. And Austin Matthews was able to clutch the game out in overtime for the Leafs. So, what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, this was actually a great game, back and forth the whole game. Austin Matthews wins it for the Leafs in overtime. He's breaking all sorts of goal scoring records for this team. It's really solid, including 2 goals in this game. And Dallas, they're able to get a point out of it. It really helps them in their playoff race. They're definitely trying to secure that final wild card spot in the West. They're currently, I believe, 2 points ahead of Vegas, and they have 2 extra games remaining than Vegas. So they're in a really good spot right now. They just need to keep winning or getting points. I mean, they're like 7-2-1 in their last 10. So they got points in 8 out of their last 10 games, which is really solid. So definitely something that they need to keep in mind if they want to stay in that playoff spot.
For sure. And I guess, what are your thoughts on the Leafs' performance so far?
Yeah, Toronto's looked good. I mean, they've been hot lately. They're solidly in that second spot in the Atlantic Division. Similar record to Dallas in their last 10, 7-2-1. It looks like they're now 5 points ahead of Boston for that third spot in the Atlantic. They're still too far from Florida to probably catch them for the division, but yeah, second seed means home advantage in the playoffs, and I'll take that as a Leafs fan.
All right. And moving on to the next game, we have the Vancouver Canucks beating the Arizona Coyotes 5-1. So pretty dominant game by Vancouver. We have Alex Chiasson for Vancouver in the first. In the second period, we had 2 goals by Bo Horvat and Elias Peterson for Vancouver, with Nick Schmaltz putting one on the board for Arizona. And in the third period, we have Alex Chiasson with another goal for Vancouver. So, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, Canucks played a great game. I believe it was off a back-to-back, but they played really solid. I think there was a third goalie in there for Arizona, so that really didn't help their result. Um, yeah, it looks like Vancouver might not make the playoffs as they are a bit far from Dallas, but at least they're putting in a solid effort to make things interesting. Then, yeah, as for the Coyotes, we've talked about this since the beginning of the season. They're in pretty much a full rebuild. They have no reason to attempt a victory at this point, even though the players will be playing for contracts next year. So, yeah, Canucks just really showed their dominance in this game.
And I guess moving on to a tighter battle, we have the Edmonton Oilers beating the Kings 3-2 in the third period. So it was a pretty close game. Connor McDavid for Edmonton in the first, Warren Fiegel for Edmonton in the second, with Trevor Moore putting one on the board for the Kings in the second as well. We have Evan Bouchard for Edmonton in the third, and Victor Arvidsson for the Kings in the third as well. So, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, solid win for the Oilers. They've been like one of the hottest teams in the league right now. I believe they've won 6 games in a row. They're now second in the Pacific Division, right behind Calgary. Yeah, this is a clutch win to stay ahead of the Kings in that division. As for LA, they've dealt with injuries, they dealt with all sorts of things. Hopefully, they can still make the playoffs. I know that they have been dipping their last few games. They've only won 4 out of their last 10, which is concerning since a team like Vegas is really hot right now. They're only like 4 points behind them. So, yeah, the Kings, whether they need to get their injured players back or what they need to do, they got to really try and stay in that spot if they want to make the playoffs.
Sure. And I guess, speaking of one of the hottest teams in the league, we have the Calgary Flames beating San Jose Sharks 4-2. So Calgary was basically on fire this game. We have Matthew Tkachuk and Trevor Lewis for Calgary in the first, with Nick Bonino for the Sharks in the first. We have Elias Lindholm for Calgary in the second, and Logan Couture for San Jose in the third, with Elias getting another goal for Calgary in the third as well. And what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, like you said, Calgary's been hot. I think this is their third win in a row. Trying to stay on top of the division. The Pacific Oilers are getting closer to them, so they definitely have to keep winning. Then as for the Sharks, I believe goalie James Reimer goes down in this game again. He's dealt with some injuries throughout the year, and when he hasn't been in the lineup, the Sharks team has not even competed. So, yeah, it's going to be really tough sledding for them if Reimer's out for an extended period of time. I know there's not much season left, but at this point, the Sharks, they've been dipping so much. It's really tough for this team overall. But yeah, good win for the Flames here.
For sure. And I guess taking a look at some of Friday's games, it looks like they're still going on. I think Winnipeg is up 2-1 against Colorado. St. Louis and Minnesota are tied in the first. Um, Islanders are actually up 1-0 against Carolina in the third, so that's pretty surprising. And Buffalo and Florida are tied in the third, which is also pretty surprising. And Boston and Tampa Bay are tied 1 each in the second period. So I guess that's going to be the end of the recaps for this week. So we're going to move on to some pickups. So starting with forwards, what you got?
Yeah, fantasy playoffs have started for fantasy hockey. We definitely want to get some pickups in here for you. For forwards, I'll start with Ivan Barbashev of the St. Louis Blues. He's tri-eligible, so all 3 forward positions, center, right wing, and left wing. He's around 40% rostered in Yahoo leagues. And I mean, this guy's been hot. Coming into the game they're currently playing against Minnesota, I think he had a point in his last 4 games, including 5 points overall. He was a +1. He had a power play point. He averaged 2 shots a game, and he averaged over 3 hits per game. I think there was a game he even had 6 hits. So this guy, if you're in a bangers league, definitely go add Ivan Barbashev. He's definitely been really solid, and he's tri-eligible, obviously. Another player you could add is Victor Olofsson. He's under 15% rostered. He can play both wing positions, and he's been hot for Buffalo. He has a goal in 3 straight games, including the game currently being played as we're recording against Florida. And then in the 4 games before that, he has 3 goals. So this guy's almost had a goal every single game in his past 8. So you definitely need to add this guy. I'm surprised he's under 15% rostered. He's deep league and shallow league pickup. Definitely a must add. He loves peppering the net with shots. I don't think he's gone a game without getting a shot in those last 8, including 5 shots in certain games. So definitely a must add is Victor Olofsson. Then one more guy I have is Jake DeBrusk from the Boston Bruins, also both wing eligible. It's around 30% rostered. And yeah, he's been hot as well. I think this guy has like a goal in, what was it, 6 out of his last 7. So like he almost has like 7 goals in 7 games, something like that. His plus minus is pretty insane over that span as well, almost a +10. And yeah, he's getting an average of 3 to 4 shots per game. So definitely a must add there for Jake DeBrusk. He'll have some big hitting nights too. I think he had a 5-hit game in the previous match against Detroit. So definitely go add Jake DeBrusk for forward.
Sure. And I guess I got a couple of guys for forward as well. I guess I'll start off with Ryan Johansson. I think so far it looks like he's about 34% roster. He's been pretty solid, I think, so far for this season. It looks like he has 21 goals, 34 assists, 102 shots, and he's +3. He's mostly a shallow league pickup as he's 34% rostered. And I think he's had 4 goals in the last week, so he's definitely someone that you can take a look at. And I guess for my next pickup, you can take a look at Evan Rodriguez. He's been getting a lot of shots lately, so if you need some shots, you could definitely take a look at him. He hasn't been getting too many goals, but he should be able to get some soon. And I guess for my next pickup, I guess it's going to be Eric Holla. He's been pretty hot so far. I think he got 3 goals in the last week. For the season, he has 13 goals. He has 23 assists. He's +12 with 118 shots. So pretty good forward overall. And that's about it for forward. So who do you have for defense?
All right, let's get to defense. I have Matthias Ekholm from the Nashville Predators. He's around 35% rostered. And I mean, he's been pretty solid over his last few games. He didn't have any points in his last game, but he had 4 shots. The game before that, 2 assists and 5 hits. And then the game before that, no points, but he had 3 shots in that game. And then 3 assists, +3, 4 shots, and 2 hits the game before that. So this guy is chipping in on defense. Definitely really solid on a solid Nashville squad. So definitely take a look at him. And then I have Bowen Byram from the Colorado Avalanche. Obviously, he came back from injuries, played 2 games. Obviously, no points yet. He has shots. He's been getting hits on a talented Colorado team. There's no way he's going to be pointless for long, especially if you're in a keeper league, go at him. And if you're in a deep league, add him up as well, as he can definitely be that bench defenseman for you in a playoff run. Then, yeah, I'll get to you on defense.
Sure. So I guess I'll start off with Mike Matheson for Pittsburgh. I think for the season, he has 11 goals, 17 assists. He's +5 with 117 shots. He had 2 goals in the last week. He gets a lot of shots. His plus minus hasn't been so good last week, but normally his plus minus is pretty good. So if you need some shots, then you can definitely take a look at Mike Matheson. And last pickup, I guess you can maybe take a look at Ben Chiro. I think Ben Chiro ended up having, I think it was 1 goal last week, if I remember correctly, but he was able to get some other categories as well. So I think he's a pretty well-rounded defenseman. I think he ended up having a couple of assists, some plus minus. He gets some hits. He gets a lot of shots as well. So yeah, you can definitely take a look at Ben Chiro. And that's about it for defense. So we have the goals.
Yeah, for goalies, same guys last week. That's Pavel Francouz. He's around 40% rostered. He's a backup goalie for the Colorado Avalanche. And I mean, coming into the game that's currently going on right now, I mean, the guy's won like 3 or 4 starts in a row. Every time he gets the net, he seems to get a win, no matter what his averages are. Obviously, cleaned up his averages a little bit in the previous game against San Jose. They are down against the Jets, so assuming they do come back, that'll be another win for Pavel Francouz. Definitely a guy to add. He's going to get you 1 start a week, but if you're in a playoff matchup and you need wins, even that 1 win per week could go a long way. So definitely go add Pavel Francouz.
And I guess I'll recommend Mike Smith for this week. He does have 11 wins, but he's been pretty hot right now. I think he got 4 wins last week. So if he's able to kind of continue this momentum, he could get some more wins. So if you kind of like where the Oilers are going, you can take a look at Mike Smith. And I guess that's about it for the pickups portion of the podcast. So now we're going to move on to previews, and we'll start off with New Jersey versus Dallas. And who do you think takes this game?
Yeah, looking at the first game, I got to side with Dallas here. They're really in that playoff push mode. New Jersey's been giving up goals left, right, and center. I think this one's a no-brainer.
All right, and moving on to Washington versus Pittsburgh. Pretty classic rivalry, but who do you think takes this?
Yeah, assuming Crosby's in the lineup, you're going to have to go with Pittsburgh. Other than that, they could lay another egg like they did last game. So maybe you go with Washington here. I think it depends on Crosby's status, but I think I would lean with Pittsburgh.
All right, and moving on to Florida versus Nashville. Who gets to keep their win streak?
Ooh, this is a tough one. I don't know. I think Panthers, they're going to be on a back-to-back. Maybe Nashville gets them here. I think maybe I might lean with Nashville.
All right, and moving on to Calgary versus Seattle. Calgary's been hot right now, so do you think they get another win?
Yeah, I think they can go into Seattle and beat them. I think Calgary's definitely playing well enough. Yeah, I'll go with the Flames.
All right, and we have another classic rivalry. We have Montreal versus the Maple Leafs. Who do you think takes this game?
Yeah, I have to lean with Toronto. I think they've won 6 or some games in a row, something like that. Like they've just been insanely hot. Yeah, I know Montreal did look really good in their last game, but it's hard to fade Toronto at this point with how well they've been playing. Sorry, they haven't won 6 in a row. I believe they won 6 out of their last 7. My bad. But yeah, I'll still roll with Toronto.
All right, and moving on to Columbus versus Detroit. Who do you think takes this game?
Yeah, I might lean with Detroit. They're at home. I definitely think that they should be able to pull this off.
All right, and moving on to Ottawa versus the New York Rangers. Who do you think takes this?
Yeah, I got to keep riding with New York. They've been so solid. We saw them take out Pittsburgh. They're at home again. They definitely should be able to get it done.
All right, and moving on to Anaheim versus Flyers. Will Anaheim be able to snap the losing streak?
Yeah, I think both of these teams have just been so atrocious all year. Anaheim, I mean, they were good at the beginning, but lately it just hasn't been it for them. Yeah, man, this is so hard to pick. Yeah, maybe I'll go with Anaheim just because I mean, both teams, they're not really appealing at this point. But yeah, give me Anaheim.
All right, and taking a look at some more appealing teams, we have the Islanders versus St. Louis. Who do you think takes this game?
Okay, it looks like both teams will be coming off a back-to-back, so no real advantage there. Might lean with St. Louis just because they're at home. and they have something to play for. The Islanders are probably going to be eliminated from playoff contention by the end of this game that they're currently playing. So, yeah, and I really don't see them making the playoffs. I think they have like a 0.4% chance mathematically they're in it, but it's not going to happen. So, yeah, give me St. Louis here.
All right. And moving on to San Jose versus the Canucks. Will the Canucks get to keep their win streak?
Yeah, I think they do. I think the Canucks have been playing a lot better lately. Yeah, and they're at home. Give me Vancouver.
All right. And moving on to Arizona versus Vegas. It looks like it's at the Fortress. So, do you think Arizona can get a win?
Yeah, I don't think so. Even though, yeah, no, it's not going to happen. Vegas, they're making a playoff push. Yeah, I think both Vegas and Dallas are really determined to get into the playoffs. They're both going to win at home on Saturday.
And moving on to the final game of Saturday, we have two teams that are really hot right now, Colorado versus Edmonton. They both have some pretty crazy win streaks, but who gets to keep theirs?
You know what? Give me the Oilers here. They've been so hot. I think they can actually upset here. They're at home. The Avalanche are coming off a back-to-back. This is the perfect opportunity for the Oilers to capitalize. They're still in the division race. Yeah, give me Edmonton.
All right. And that about ends the preview portion of the podcast. So do you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, a lot of teams are clinching their playoff spots now. In the East, it looks like Florida and Carolina have clinched playoff spots as we speak. It looks like the Rangers could clinch one as we're recording, depending on some of the results of the games, as well as Toronto could also clinch. So we'll definitely have to keep an eye on that. Colorado's already clinched in the West, and there's other clinching scenarios coming up most likely on the weekend. So definitely something to keep an eye out for. Yeah, we're getting really close to the playoffs. Definitely really exciting.
For sure. And I guess we have two Alberta teams. It looks like they both clinched a playoff spot, if I'm not mistaken, Calgary and Edmonton. So really good job by both teams. And it looks like the Kings have a playoff spot as well. So some really interesting results.
Yeah, Kings definitely need to hold on to it, though. I wouldn't write them in just yet, considering how many injuries they have. They definitely need to turn things around if they want to keep their spot.
And that about ends the podcast for this week. So if you liked what you watched, you can definitely subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, leave us a like, give us a comment, give us a review, and your thoughts of this season so far. And if you liked what you listened to, you can follow us on Spotify. You can also follow us on Apple Music and Google Podcasts. And if you need some sports picks, you can follow us at FanFan Podcast on both Twitter and Instagram. And we'll see you guys next week.